Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Sophie. Today we're going to be going through a Vinyasa flow, but we're going to be focusing on the shoulders today. So we're going to be focusing on building strength, using some of my favorite drills to work through into the sequence, but we're also going to be bringing in some dance-like movements to make the flow feel a little bit more fluid. And, you know, we're not going to be working too hard. There'll be a bit of relaxation as well, but we're ideally looking to build up strength so then we can work into more forearm balances, headstands, these kind of things. So for today's practice, ideally, if you have 2 blocks to practice with, that would be perfect. We're just going to do our first warm-up stretch in them. If you don't have a block or 2 blocks, don't worry, you don't need them necessarily. I'll show you a different variation. So try to make sure you're in a space where you are not going to be distracted. You know you have some time to yourself. You don't necessarily need a yoga mat, although just find somewhere that you feel is safe and you can grip down to the floor and also be down on your knees. So for our first stretch, we're going to start in a modified child's pose. So with our blocks, if you have them, I want you to bring them just about over shoulder width from your tabletop position, and then we're going to drop our elbows down onto them. Bring the hands into prayer position and then come into your child's pose with your elbows up on your blocks. You're just feeling that lovely tricep stretch all the way up through the front of the arm and also stretching the lats, which are on the upward portion down the sides of your back. If you do not have the block or 2 blocks, you can do the same stretch. In your child's pose, you just try to bring your head a little bit closer towards the ground and then maybe reach the fingertips back towards the tailbone. You'll still feel a nice stretch here. And of course, if you want your chest to go a little bit deeper, you can take your knees out nice and wide. So whichever stretch you're in, whichever modification you're in, settle in. We'll take a few breaths here. Opening up the back of the body, opening up the shoulders and the chest. And if the blocks that you're on feel okay and you're almost touching the floor, you can move them up to the side, bring them in a little bit closer so you've got more space to work into. If you haven't already, you can close down the eyes, start to pay attention to your breath. Start to lengthen the inhales and the exhales very gradually. And wherever you are in your day today, trying to forget about what might have happened or losing any anticipation of what is to come, whether that's on the mat or for your day later. Bring your attention back to your breath whenever you feel your mind start to wander or you feel yourself being distracted. Take 3 steady, slow, mindful breaths here where you are. Think about on your inhales, breathing into the back of the rib cage underneath the shoulder blades. As you exhale, maybe allow the chest to sink a little bit deeper down towards the ground. You've got 1 more breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Blinking open the eyes very slowly. Allow yourself to move on up. Place the hands onto the blocks and just place them over to one side. Moving straight away into our tabletop position, have the index fingers pointed forward. Push the ground away with the arms so they're nice and straight. We're going to just draw some circles around the palms just to start to warm up the wrists. Have the fingers spread nice and wide, pressing into each knuckle as you move around. Try to get the shoulders all the way beyond the fingertips so you get used to that sensation, changing direction. Think about what the spine's doing. Are you keeping it nice and neutral? What are your shoulders doing? Are they dipping in and out, making space, making any movements that you're not aware of? It's okay. If they're moving, that's fine, but just be aware of it. So we're just going to bring some awareness into our shoulders today, into our positioning and what they're doing in each posture. Bring the hands in to the midline of the mat so the wrists are together, and we're going to rock from side to side. opening up behind the shoulder blades and also flexing the wrists in a different way. We'll be using our wrists and our hands a lot in today's practice, so it's really important that we warm them up properly. Good, coming to stillness, back into your tabletop position, keeping the arms nice and straight. We're not doing our cat-cow, so our spine needs to stay nice and neutral. You can take a few moves in mini cat-cows to start off with, and then slowly work the spine into a neutral position. So you ideally want your navel to be slightly drawn in, not overly focused, not overly taut, but just aware and drawn in. So just think about having someone touching their finger on your belly button, just having that awareness of a little bit of stillness there. Push the ground away, and then I want you to inhale, push even further. So imagine you're pushing the floor and your shoulder blades are wrapping around the body. Your shoulder blades aren't coming up, they're wrapping around the chest, pushing through. So I'm just going to push your ribcage forward. Notice my spine's not changed shape. Exhale, drop the chest down, bring the shoulder blades together. Inhale, push away. Exhale, release. So we're moving through our scapular push-ups here. Really, really important drill to start bringing into your practice if you haven't already. So here we want to create space. Even in our step throughs, this is really useful. So often we struggle to step through, but we actually just need to create a little bit more space. It's not necessarily a mobility or flexibility issue at the hip. It's that we haven't created enough space and we're still kind of hunched towards the floor. So using this here, we use our push muscles a lot in yoga, really important. If you want to take it up, you can take the toes back, legs come straight into our plank position. Exhale down. Inhale up, exactly the same thing. You're just squeezing the glutes a little bit tighter, holding the core in a little bit stronger, and squeezing the quads as well. So you're adding a nice balance here. Last one, dropping the knees all the way down to the ground. Sit back onto the heels, sweep the hands all the way up. Inhale, push the fingertips away, push the palms up towards the sky. Exhale, take a twist to the right and over to the left, just using a bit of a metronome with the spine. Sweeping the hands all the way forward. We're going to bring our right foot all the way to the front of the mat, coming into our Vinyasa, our low lunge. Beautiful. Point the fingertips up towards the sky. Take a breath here, draw that last rib in, pubic bone up towards it, so nice neutral spine. Good. We're going to start doing some sweeping circles, so we're going to sweep our hands to the right side in nice big circles. Exhale. Inhale up. Exhale down. Beautiful, changing direction now. Maybe take the gaze up towards the fingertips. If that feels more comfortable, just moving in a fluid-like motion. One more time, and then releasing, bringing those hands all the way back up again, interlace the fingertips, point them up towards the sky. Beautiful. Exhale, release the hands down to the ground. Step the right foot back, step the left foot forward. Again, coming up into our Vinyasa, sweeping the hands all the way up to the sky. Draw that navel in. Inhale, push the sky away, interlace the fingertips. Take a breath here, breathe up into the collarbones. Feel that stretch down the outside of the body. Exhale, release. Let's take those nice big circles again with the arms, sweeping the hands up. Maybe bending the arms. Really starting to warm up the shoulders now. You should be getting a nice burn on. Exhale, changing direction. I can't remember which way I was going. Sweeping around. Beautiful. Nice. Last time, interlace the fingertips. Maybe come into Kali Mudra. Point the fingers up towards the sky. Get the biceps up towards the ears. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And exhale, release the hands down. Frame the foot, step the knee back to the ground. Take a moment in Child's Pose. Stretch the fingertips out nice and long. Take a moment here. If you practice with your Ujjayi breath, you can tap into that now. Take a moment in your Child's Pose. Sealing off the lips, breathing only through the nose. Then from here, index fingers point forward, roll up into your tabletop position, moving up into our downward facing dog, take the hips up towards the sky. Good, pedaling out the heels. Maybe this is the first down dog of the day. So taking as many movements as you need to here, maybe shaking the head, left and right, nodding, sighing, twisting through one side. Maybe your legs don't feel as warm as your upper body right now, that's okay. They'll be catching up. With the shoulders, we want to stay nice and active, pushing the ground away. So have a check, make sure index fingers are pointing forward, and you can press the palms evenly into the ground. Beautiful, and you're ready to find stillness in the downward facing dog. Bring the big toes together to touch. Take the inhale, right leg comes up towards the sky. Exhale, let's bring that knee in to tap that right elbow. Push the ground away, find that protraction that we created in our plank earlier. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, bring that knee across the body. Tap that left elbow here. Good. From here, we'll come into our fallen triangle. Drop that right foot down towards the ground. Option to stay here. Think about pushing the ground away still. Maybe you're okay to press into the right hand. Inhale, lift. For your left fingertips, come all the way up towards the sky. Keep pushing the hips forward. Staying here. Or option to float that right foot, but make sure that right shoulder is stable first. So push the ground away, point the toe, float the foot. Strong shoulders. As we exhale, we're going to slowly move back all the way into our downward facing dog. Take that right foot all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, roll forward, knee to nose. Push the ground away with those shoulders. Release the foot between the hands. Take a moment to find your balance. Suck that belly in. Hands down to the ground, up onto your fingertips to find that balance. Sweep the hands all the way up into our high lunge. Take a breath here. Maybe take a slightly wider stance. A longer stance if that feels comfortable for you. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Energetically point the fingers up towards the sky. Holding here for 1. You got it. 2. 3. Opening up into our warrior 2. Pivot that back foot 45 degrees. Open those shoulders up nice and wide. Make sure your shoulders are stacked on top of your hips. Draw the ribs in. Point the fingers apart. Imagining you're being stretched. Nice and wide with the hands. Good. Well done. Making sure our right knee isn't falling in. Draw it back. Maybe think about what the arch of your foot is doing, supporting yourself all the way from the ground up to the knee, outside of the glutes turned on. Turn the left quad on as well. Make sure that's active. It's not caving that left knee in. One more breath here. And then we're going to interlace the fingertips behind us, coming into our humble warrior. So I want you to draw the shoulders away from the body. As you inhale, take a nice, long, tall, straight spine. Exhale down towards the ground. Draw those shoulders up towards the sky. Stay active with the hands. I don't want you to sink down towards the ground. Push and lengthen away. So strong core, strong shoulders are still being squeezed together. Good. One more breath here. Exhale, release the hands down to the ground, walking into our wide-legged forward fold. You can pigeon toe the heels slightly. Inhale, halfway lift here. Exhale, roll yourself all the way down to the ground. You can have your left hand planted down, coming up into the twist, or you have the option of dropping the forearm down to the ground. Wherever you are, holding here. Not holding onto the breath. Exhale, release, swapping sides. Again, forearm down or palm down wherever you are. Meet your body with kindness and acceptance. Maybe one day you'll get here. It's not the be-all and end-all of yoga. Maybe it feels more uncomfortable one side than the other. Try to keep that top hand pointing up. Exhale, release. Beautiful. Let's walk our hands all the way around to the back of the mat. Press the palms down to the floor. Step the left foot back, come into your plank position. For taking our first Chaturanga, option to drop onto the knees. In fact, I always recommend that you do for your first one to set yourself up. Squeeze that navel in towards the spine. Make sure the shoulder blades draw down the back. As you exhale, lengthen through the neck. Think about long neck. Not craning our neck forward, nice and long neck. Shoulder blades come together. Inhale, rolling up into our upward facing dog. Squeeze the back muscles, squeeze the glutes, working that posterior chain. Exhale, push the ground away, meaning back in our downward facing dog. Taking that little flow on the other side, bring the toes together to touch. Inhale, left leg comes up towards the sky. Exhale, knee taps that left elbow. Push the ground, protract the shoulders. Inhale, take it all the way back up. Exhale across the body. This time, you know where we're going, tapping that right elbow. When we get there, we're extending that leg. Take the weight into that left hand. Rotate onto the side of that right foot. Keep pushing the ground away, strong core. If this feels okay, we're going to take that right hand up towards the sky. Keep lifting those hips, squeezing those glutes up. Maybe if this feels okay, our left shoulder's feeling strong, floating that left foot. So working our adductors here as well, but our strength is coming from our shoulder. One movement, tuck that knee in. Right hand comes down, sweep that left foot all the way up towards the sky, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee in towards the nose. Release the foot between the hands, finding your fingertips on the floor as you rise yourself all the way up into your high lunge. Maybe soften the back leg a little bit. Reach those fingertips up towards the sky. Use this time to bring your body back to your breath. Maybe you've lost focus. Use this time here in the stillness of this posture whilst we're not moving and playing. Beautiful. Take it into our warrior two. Pivot that back foot 45 degrees. Arms come nice and straight, parallel to the floor. Your drishti is over your front middle finger. Relax the shoulders. Go a little bit deeper if you can. Well done. I know it's a challenging pose. From here, let's take that bind behind our back. Interlace the fingertips, lengthening and looking up as we draw our chest down towards the ground, aiming for that front corner of the mat, but keep those hands nice and active so they're still pulling our shoulders back. Lengthening, opening up through the chest. Front foot is nice and strong, it's still pushing the ground away actively through. Turn on that right quad so your knee's not falling in. Nice and active in the back glutes as well. Beautiful. Exhale, release the hands down to the ground. Walk them back into that wide-legged forward fold. Bring the hands onto the hips. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the fingertips behind you. Interlace the fingertips back. And then we're going to slowly fold down into our forward fold. Opening up that chest a little bit more. You can keep the hamstrings a little bit soft. Or if they're ready to now, you can slowly start to straighten the legs. Trying to keep a little bit of tension on the hamstrings so you build that awareness and that flexibility. Again, try not to let your shoulders roll forward passively. Think about energetically drawing them back. Hands are gripped together, strong and active. 2 more breaths here. Last breath here. Very slowly bring the hands onto the hips. Take an inhale, halfway lift. Let the fingertips find the mat. We're going to walk all the way back to the front of our mat now. Frame that right foot. Step that right foot back. Taking our Chaturanga, option to drop onto the knees as always, or keep the knees up high. Exhale, bending the elbows to the back of the mat. Coming to parallel, untucking the toes. Push the ground away. Take a nice roll through the shoulders, lifting and lengthening. Push the ground away. If you have slightly hyper-flexible elbows like myself, try to soften them a little bit so you're not pushing them forward. Good. Tuck the chin in. Take the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Taking a breath here. Maybe this feels okay for you. Maybe you want to drop it down into your child's pose. We're going to take 5 breaths here, wherever you are. If you're in child's or if you're in downward facing dog, try to keep the hands active. So even in your child's pose, I want you to have the index fingers pointed forward, triceps drawing away from the mat, lifting up the chest. Think about bringing the biceps up to the ears rather than drawing them back down, up to the ears, active as though you were about to jump up into a handstand. Think about having a really active child's pose here. Even though it's a resting pose, we're still trying to build that strength in our shoulders and our arms. Take 2 more breaths here. Slowing down the heart rates. And then wherever you are, we will meet in our downward facing dog. Take an inhale through the nose. Exhale, side out of the mouth. Good. Sealing off the lips. From here, we're going to drop the right elbow down towards the ground. So coming into a bit of a funky dolphin. Inhale, push the ground away, come up into downward facing dog. Left side comes down, drop that forearm down to the ground. Push the ground away, come back up. Good. From here, right forearm comes down, left forearm comes down into our dolphin pose. Beautiful. Maybe this feels awful, maybe it feels okay. Pushing back up again, we're going to push up through left, followed by right. Or if you want to give 2 pulses a go, we can drop both of the forearms down and push up. That's 1. Exhale down. Inhale up. 1 more. Exhale down. Inhale up. It's strong. Good. Beautiful. Take a moment here. Walk the hands back in towards the feet very slowly. Come into Ragdoll Pose, grab opposite elbow, opposite arm. Let the head hang nice and heavy. Let the shoulders take a little bit of a rest for a moment. And I'm going to walk all the way back out into our downward facing dog. Beautiful. From here, we're going to drop back into our dolphin again. So if dolphin is really uncomfortable for you, you can just stay here. Stay here for 5 breaths. Okay, if you're familiar with dolphin, you're going to slowly walk the feet in towards the elbows as close as they'll go. But try not to sink the head to the ground. Push the ground away. Stay active in the shoulders for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Walk the feet slowly back out into your wide dolphin. Maybe opposite elbow comes up, back into downward facing dog. Good. Powerful. Beautiful. Staying here for just 2 more breaths in down dog. Staying super active in the shoulders. Don't give up yet. I know your shoulders are burning. Beautiful. When you're ready, look forward between the thumbs. We're going to sink our hips down towards our ankles and take a nice big hop all the way to the front of the mat. Keep the arms as straight as possible. Gently landing. We're going to sink our hips all the way down to the ground in a bit of a baby chair. Exhale, drop the hips all the way down to the floor. 1, 2, 3. Whew. Nice. From here, we're going to stretch the front of the body. So we're going to come into inverted plank position. So you can either have the fingertips pointing away or towards the front of the mat, whichever feels better for you. I prefer an external rotation just to really open up into the chest. So pick whichever you'd like to do. So from here, you have 2 options. You can either lift and lengthen up, having the legs bent straight, coming up into our reverse tabletop position. Keep squeezing the glutes up towards the sky. Keep the chin nice and neutral. We'll stay here for this first variation. Take 1 more breath here. And slowly exhale all the way down. Should feel a really nice bicep stretch across the front of your pectorals as well, but especially down the biceps. So that's your first option. You have another option too. We're going to straighten the legs. Again, options to have fingertips away or forward, completely up to you. When you're ready, take an inhale, lift and lengthen. Option to stay with your bent legs or straighten the legs, lifting the hips up towards the sky. For 1. Staying nice and active all the way through. 2. You've got this. 3. Keep taking that chest up to the sky, squeezing the glutes. 4. Last one. 5. Exhale, release yourself all the way down to the ground very slowly. Take a little bit of a counter, bringing the knees in towards the chest, wrapping the arms around. Bring the chin down into the chest. Give yourself a little bit of a squeeze. Maybe massaging out the forehead a little bit on the knees. And then finally coming into your Shavasana. But I want you to take a nice Catur Svanasana. So drop the elbows down towards the mat. Extend the legs out nice and long and take them out a little bit wider. We don't want to counteract too much of the hamstring stretching because most people tend to be tight in the hamstrings. So we're just going to open up the shoulders a bit. So roll the shoulders in towards the body. Draw those last ribs in. Maybe lift the hips so the tailbone is pointing nicely down to the front of the mat. Allowing yourself to feel beautiful and open. Feel the shoulders. Maybe they've still got a bit of a burn in them. Maybe they feel okay. But hopefully we're just going to be leaving the mat feeling stronger and more open in the front body as well. If you haven't already, you can close the eyes. Take a few last steady breaths. Staying here on the mat for just a few more delicious moments. Knowing that you worked really hard today. Letting go of your control over the breath now. Just allow yourself to surrender into the floor. Softening all the way from your toes, up your legs, to your hips, to your belly, to your rib cage, to your chest, melting the shoulders, relaxing the biceps, letting the forearms be heavy and each of the fingertips relax and soften. Relaxing the neck, the jaw, softening the eyebrows and the space between the eyebrows. I'm going to leave you here in Shavasana, but if you have more time, please give it to your body and your mind. There's no rush to leave this posture. Thank you for practicing with me today. I hope to see you on the mat again soon. Namaste.